welcome to Ellen Ruth Soap. I'm Ellen, and today we're not making soap, we're going to make candles. And I have a couple of inspirations for these candles today. And the first one is the vessels. I was at Big Lots, my town where I live in Dixon, Tennessee. We have a Big Lots store. Anyway, I was just poking around for some decorating ideas, some spring inspiration, and I found these over in the, like where they have the dishes and stuff, they're Ramekins. And they're 6 ounce, and I thought these would be beautiful for wooden wick candles. I just love them. So one of the things when you're looking for a vessel for a candle that isn't specifically made for a candle, so if you go on like Makesy or Nature's Garden, they have candle vessels and they are designated, you're good to go. But if you are in the home goods section and you're looking, you want something that is oven safe and microwave safe so that it can handle the heat of a live flame. That's really important. You can't just put your candle in any vessel. You want to make sure it's oven safe. So that's what these little guys are. They are microwave, dishwasher, and oven safe. These are going to be perfect for candles. And so for the wicking on these, I have my little wooden wicks that I got from Be Scented. These are the 2.5 inch ones. They have a dark wood and a light wood. I think this one's a little harder wood. Anyway, together, these go in the little clip and they burn beautifully. And they're the perfect size for these little ramekins. So that's the wicking we're gonna use. Okay, and let's talk about the wax we're gonna use today, which I'm really excited. I've used this before and I loved it. It's the Silky Soy from Rouge, Canada. And I have a discount code from Rouge, Canada, so go check them out. This is such a good wax. It's easy to work with. Let me read to you the description. One of the things I love about Rouge, Canada, and I've said this before, is that their labels have really good pertinent information on there. So it says, I don't have my reading glasses on, so I'm going to do the best I can here. Superior glass adhesion, excellent scent throw, silky smooth tops, ultimate color retention, but I'm not going to be coloring these, but it will hold a color if you want. They're vegan and toxin free. So I just love this wax blend. It's wonderful. So that's what we're doing today, and we'll talk about the temperatures and the scent load that we can have and all that once we get into it. But let's talk about the scents that we're going to do today. Fragrance and candles, love it. So this first fragrance, I'm coming into springtime and it doesn't sound like I should be using it, but the smell is so good. It's like a potpourri smell. It's called Christmas Cabin. We're not near Christmas. We just got over Christmas. But this scent, let me read the scent description to you. It's so good. I think it's year-round good. Okay, so here's the scent notes for this Christmas Cabin. Let's just forget the name and call it a good smelling fragrance. It's a blend of bayberries and cranberries, so it does have a little fruity note to it. With cinnamon bark, orange, and orange zest. So those are just really good basic fragrances all year round. The berries and the cinnamon and the orange, I love it. So we're gonna make one set of these candles with the Christmas Cabin, and then the next set of candles in the other color I'm gonna do, it's called Very Sexy for Men. I got this from Wholesale Supplies Plus. It is a Victoria's Secret dupe. I've never smelled the real thing, but boy, this smells good. If you've been with me, you know I like a men's cologne scent. I'll be happy to burn this one. So let's read the scent description for that one because it does smell really nice. Yes, very sexy. It has a masculine notes of lime, fresh apples, black raspberry, rosewood fused on a base of musky wood. So I think it's that musky undernote that gives it the masculine edge, but it's really nice. And both of these say that they work great in candles, so we're using those fragrances. So we've talked about the vessels, we've talked about the wax, the fragrance, and I'm not coloring my wax. Again, I like a plain wax. For me, I find that more appealing. But if you like to color wax, this wax will hold your color. So we're not even going to talk about coloring because I'm not coloring my wax today. So let me get everything pulled together and let's come back and make some really pretty scented candles. All right, I have got all my stuff set out for candle making, and what I have here is 24 ounces of the Silky Soy wax, and it cuts about, it's a little bit softer than melt and pour soap is how I would describe it, like cool butter, chunked up really easy, so I just chunked it up. I've got 24 ounces in here, and I'm gonna set it on my little hot plate and get this to melting while we talk about everything else. Okay, so we've got our vessels here. These are 6-ounce ramekins, but I put it on my scale and tared it out and filled it with water, which is a little bit heavier than the wax, but very similar volume amounts. And it came up short of the ramekin. So in other words, it didn't fill it all the way brimming. So I did go ahead and use 24 ounces, which will fill 4 of these with a little room, because you need to have room for your fragrance oil. You need to factor in your fragrance oil volume. And here's what we're fragrancing at. This Very Sexy for Him. This is a 2-ounce bottle, and so I'm going to use this entire bottle, and that'll be just a little more than 8% fragrance load, which with this candle wax, it says that it holds 8 to 10% really well. So this will be an 8% fragrance, a little bit more, 8.3 to be exact. And then for the Christmas cabin, we're going to call this Cozy Cabin. It's not Christmas, but I'm going to fragrance at 10% with this. So that'll be 2.4 ounces of fragrance in the next Ramekins. So let me switch these out. I think I'm going to do the Very Sexy in the dark blue vessels. I don't know, it just sounds more masculine. And then I will do the Cozy Cabin in the light blue Ramekins. And now what I have to do is just letting that melt. I'm going to get my glue dots out, and we're going to go ahead and stick our little wicks down in. And these are the 2.5 inch from Be Scented. You can get longer wooden wicks. There's so many to choose from out there. The Flaming Candle, Candle Science, Nature's Garden, Be Scented. There's so many places to get wonderful wicks, but I've been loving these little pre-cut ones, and they fit in here almost perfectly. They just stick up just a hair above the lip of this, which is no problem because we're going to fill these pretty full. So it's as simple as getting a glue dot and sticking them down on the bottom. All right, so just get a glue dot, stick it on the bottom, and shoot for the center of your vessel. And I like to press down real hard. And there it is. It's pre-wicked, and this will just be stable as you pour the wax in. It's very nice. It doesn't, bend. When you're doing, cotton wicks or the fabric wicks, they can flop over and you need a stabilizer bar. But with the wooden wicks, you don't need that because they're pretty sturdy. So let me get these all glue dots stuck in here as our wax is melting, and we'll come back and talk about when to add the fragrance oil and all the good stuff. Are still melting down here. It's coming along rather nicely. It melts relatively quickly. Got all the wicks stuck in the bottom, and now I'm going to go ahead and put my warning labels on the bottom of these vessels. If you're making candles or anything flammable, you really do need a warning label. And I do recommend small business insurance since we're on the topic of that. It's a liability coverage thing. So anyway, warning labels are I will say it's a must. And I like these little craft color ones. They come in shapes and sizes and colors. You pick the ones you like, but just make sure that your candle has a warning label on the bottom. All right, we are almost melted all the way down here. I'm shooting between 190 and 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what they say to melt this to, and then it says to add your fragrance while it's still very hot and pour it while it's hot for better glass adhesion. So if I was using clear vessels, that would be really important. That way you don't get the frosting or the pockets around the side. This is supposed to have excellent glass adhesion. In an opaque jar like this, that's really not a huge factor, but I do want it to, stick really well. So I am going to be pouring this relatively hot, so maybe about 185 degrees or so I will be pouring this at, and I'm doing it in one batch at a time. You could melt all the oils for all of these and then split it off, weigh it off, and put your fragrances in. But for me, I just have one candle pouring vessel, and so it's easier for me to just do one batch, then chunk up and remelt and do the second batch. That's just how I do it. But and they make those sort of crock pot looking vessels that you can pre-melt your waxes, and they have a little tap spigot on them. They are fantastic. I don't have one of those, but I think they're really cool. I've seen a lot of makers have those, and if you make a lot of candles, I think that would be a very worthy investment. So we are almost melted. We will come back when this is up to the proper temperature. All right, we are all melted, and I think we are at temperature. So I'm going to stir this around a little bit and take the temperature and see where we're at. Let's see. I like to take it off of the hot plate to do the temperature. Otherwise, I'll be getting the temperature of the hot plate and not the wax with this point and shoot. And we are at 196. Absolutely perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and add our fragrance in right now. It said it's okay to add it hot. We're going to do that. So this is going to be about 8.3% fragrance in here. Oh, golly, that smells so good as soon as it hit the warm wax. One of these is making its way into my room for sure. All right, so with the fragrance, you want to just stir really well one way and then pause and then stir the other way, and just make sure that all of those fragrant molecules are bound with all of the wax molecules, and a really good blend is what you're going for. And again, if you were coloring this, you would add your dye chips and or a liquid colorant, whatever you're using. If you were coloring this, you would do that now. All right, let's take the temperature and see where we're at. 182, which is perfect. Let's get this poured into our vessels. When I pour, I like to keep a clean paper towel under the lip to stop any dripping. We are on to melting our next bit of wax, and I reduced it to 22 ounces of wax because those first containers were filled to the brim. Like I was talking about, I did not leave enough room for my fragrance oil. So we're going with 2.2 ounces of fragrance, which is 10% of the 22 ounces of wax. And I'm hoping these will be just a little shy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having your vessel filled to the brim, but it was just fuller than I had expected. So we're going a little bit shy on the wax here. So anyway, let's get this melted and get to our next set of fragrance pour, and then we'll talk about labels and all that when we get done. Back. It's the next day. I just walked away and let these sit overnight so they are fully firmed up and ready to go. And I want to point out that the wax took on a little bit of an ivory tinge with the cozy cabin version scent, and it's a more bright white with the sexy for him, very sexy for him. But I am so thrilled with how these came out. And the cold throw, which means before the flame is lit, that's the cold throw when you smell a candle before you light it. It's fabulous on both of these. I'm thrilled with this wax. Obviously, it has excellent adhesion. It doesn't have any pits or holes or frosting on the top. It looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm just thrilled with them. Now let's talk about how I'm going to wrap these and what you could do if you wanted. The top of these ramekins, and I found that the majority of a ramekin, if you're looking at those for vessels, because typically they're oven proof because people will bake little custards and things in them. So I think they make a fabulous candle vessel. But most of them have a large enough surface where you could use a 2-inch or a 2.5-inch circle label on the top here after you shrink wrap it, which I'm going to show you how to do. Or you could do a smaller label if you wrap it on the outside over the safety label, which is on the vessel itself. What I chose to do though is I have these labels. These are what I use on my soap bars. So they're almost 3 by 1.5 inch, but this is the size label that I use for my soap labels. That's what I used to print out. Here are the labels I printed out using Avery.com is what I used for the template on these. I got these labels from onlinelabels.com, and they have their own design center that you can use. I printed these on Avery, so I go back and forth between Maestro and Avery to print these out. And Makesy has a candle labeling article that is wonderful, and I will leave it linked down below for the information that you need on a candle if you are going to retail sale them. So there are some requirements, and they have a great article describing all of that. But for these labels, what I'm going to do is shrink wrap the whole vessel and then put the little rectangle label on the side, which is what I decided to do. But a round label on top would be perfect also. So let's get into it. Here is my shrink bag. This is a 6 by 6 inch bag. And I got these because they fit several odd shaped soaps, tall soaps, soaps with embeds on top, and odd shaped items like a candle. They're just a good all-purpose size for me, and then I can use my little heat sealer to cut off any excess if they're too big. But the 6 by 6 size I have found to be very utilitarian. So that's what I'm going to use for these vessels. So let's grab one here. This is I named this Midnight Musk. I did not want to name this very sexy. I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me. So I named this Midnight Musk because it smells sort of like a nighttime and it has that musky undernote. So let's put this in here. And it fits in the vessel just fine. So what I'm going to do here is my little heat gun. I got this like Hobby Lobby or Michael's, super inexpensive. Any heat gun will do. I'm going to take the excess and sort of just hold it down on one side as I shrink the majority of it, and then I'll kind of pat that in. As it melts, I'll show you. Let's get this done. It is all shrink wrapped, so again you could put a round label. The reason that I didn't use my round labels is that the wick is just a tiny bit taller than the vessel, and it makes sort of it doesn't lay flat, and I didn't want the label to have a wrinkle on it. So I went ahead and decided to do the side label. It's got a little bit of extra wrapping on here, but that's okay. I don't think it takes away from the aesthetic at all. So let me grab my label here for my Midnight Musk. It has me, the maker, what it is. It's a candle. It has a wooden wick, how much it weighs. All the pertinent information is on here. And now I'm going to just, when you have a rectangle, and this is at an edge, it's important to just find the middle of the label and stick the middle, and then go out to the sides from there, and it'll just make the curve on its own. So there it is. And that's how I'm labeling these. I think they look fabulous, and I can't wait to gift these to my family and friends, and I'm keeping one of these for myself because I love this fragrance. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like and the bell for notifications, all of that. This wax was wonderful to work with, and I hope you have a wonderful day.